let's go through the best setups that you can use, particularly early on, for technique-based melee weapons as you progress through Lies of P. Some caveats to this: I'm not going to be recommending any boss weapons in particular, and we're going to go through the order in which I suggest you use the blades. Now, I personally abandoned the rapier right at the very beginning. The first merchant that you see before the Puppet Master, I changed to the Puppet's Saber because I much prefer the moveset. The slashes are much more useful, and it is, in general, just pretty good with the moveset. So starting out, Puppet's Saber is what I would recommend, and this is probably going to last you until the factory, at which point you are able to pick up 2 significant weapons for technique builds there. You are going to be able to pick up the Booster Glaive. This is guarded by the Puppet of the Future. You can either just run straight past it and loot the chest, or you can drain the poison, fight the puppeteer, because you are going to have to fight that puppet anyway if you want to get all of the rewards, and then get it after you have defeated the puppet. The other one, which you'll probably actually get before the one I've just said, is the Fire Axe. This is behind the Rolling Boulder in the same area. It's actually on the way to defeating the Puppet of the Future. Now, my recommendation in general here is going to be to attach the Puppet's Saber to the Fire Axe. I've actually had a lot of people asking me what this combination is because they've liked seeing it in some of the videos that I've been doing. This is very, very good because it's going to give you good scaling with your technique. It gives you great reach. As you can see on my handle right now, it's really, really long and actually isn't any slower than the previous weapon that we're just using. It has great reach on its charged R2 for stuns, and our Fable Arts are also pretty nice. This is a very good setup. This actually carried me all the way until after the Archbishop, which is rather handy, because directly after that is going to be where we actually start getting into my truly best and most recommended setups. So you're going to have that carry you until you get to Malum District, at which point you now have access to the Bone Cutting Saw Blade. This is up on some platforms. I'll try and get some like sped up videos or something in the background as I'm talking to where they are. Basically, you'll have to climb up a ladder, do a little loop around, fight across some enemies, and you're going to get the Bone Cutting Saw Blade. For whatever reason, this blade, while heavy, has amazing block on it. It's not the heaviest blade and still allows us to attack fairly quickly. A weapon that for some reason seems faster than the others is on the Booster Glaive handle, which is why I wanted to make sure that I said that we had this in our inventory. Okay, when you have this set up and it's on your character, this just like, it's not as fast as some of the weapons we've been using, but the reach on it is very good. The initial swing is the most thing here that we're looking at because it comes out pretty quickly. And much like with the Fire Axe handle, the charged R2 has got amazing range, and the damage on here is just obnoxious. It is such good damage. As well as that, it also carries with it very, very good guard, so you are able to block a lot of damage as it's coming into you. There is an honorable mention for those that like it, but I don't think it's as good as the Booster Glaive, and that is the Dancer's Curved Sword handle. This is acquired a little bit later than the Booster Glaive in the Rosa Isabel entrance. I can see this kind of looks a bit smaller, and it is a little bit faster. But you'll see it does quite a bit less damage. And the one thing I don't like is the charged R2 is like this spin. Something you need to know is only the last attack in the charged R2 is going to cause the stun. So this means if you're like up close or something like this and you get caught out or disturbed during that first spin, the entirety of the attack is wasted. So I personally am not a fan of that when we have access to the Booster Glaive. I'll just finish on some other assembly options / advice on how you put together good weapons. There are some things that you need to consider when you are doing this. Obviously, this should help anybody that's not doing technique make their own good weapon. Ideally, you want to have a comfortable weight class for yourself, such as this Live Puppet's Axe Blade is too heavy for me to use. It just goes way too slow. This can obviously be offset by a lighter handle, but oftentimes I find you need to find something that kind of swings at a speed that you can deal with, and this one is the perfect one for me, which is why I've picked it here. Now, something else that you need to bear in mind when assembling weapons is the damage type of what it is that you are using. You can see that each of the weapons has a slash and a stab symbol. If it's giving you the equal sign, that means that is a damage type that that weapon is going to deal, right? So we have slash or we have stab. Interestingly, we don't seem to have blunt, even though we have a baton. So you can see the dagger, for example, will go fine on a slash or a stab weapon. This is important because if we're going to take, for example, the bone-cutting saw blade, that downward arrow there means that during a stab attack, it is going to do less damage. So if we then go over to the handles, and the most obvious one we can point out is going to be the rapier handle, you can see that it does not want to do slash damage, and it's going to do stab damage. Instead, what you want to go for is something that's going to give you slash damage. Now, we are having matched damage types, and that is going to increase the overall damage of your weapon. Okay, you see we're not getting that stab downward arrow on the bone-cutting saw blade anymore. So if you are looking to assemble your own weapon, maybe you prefer a pokey weapon that doesn't fit with the slash one that I've just made. Like, let's say you want to use like a spear tip or something like this. Hopefully that helps you out in making your own weapon. But either way, that's my opinion. That is the weapon that has carried me through the most of the game. Let me know what works for you, and I'll see you all in the next video.